Hello, today we are solving Jan 2025 paper Unit 2 IAL EDEXCEL. Undercanvas Limited produces a wide range of camping equipment at its factory. You are the cost accountant and have been asked to look at the performance of the tent production department for the December week 3. The company has a contract to supply 180 tents per week, which must be met. Okay, totally they are to supply 180 tents. Each member of the staff has a target output of 30 tents per week. The factory employs 6 production workers. The standard cost of producing one tent, okay, they have given 1 hour 20 minutes labor, with the labor being paid at this rate. Then the labor is scheduled to work for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. All 30 hours are paid at the normal rate. Okay, all this is given, and any overtime worked is paid at this rate, and the workers are not paid for any absent time. Okay, so this is how the information is given. Your first question is calculate the budgeted labor cost for the planned production of 180 tents for December week 3. So for the budget labor cost, okay, the budget labor cost for the production will be usually any cost, it is going to be the number quantity times the rate. So that's a basic formula. Okay, so now the budgeted labor cost is calculated based for the production involves how many hours of they have worked for production and what is the rate at which they are being paid. Okay, this is how you will calculate. So based on this we can see that they have worked for how many hours. They have the standard cost of producing one tent, and so we will calculate the cost of producing 180 tents. Okay, first one tent, they have given the information. They take about 1 hour 20 minutes. So the hours worked is equal to 1 hour, which is 60 minutes, plus 20 minutes. Okay, so this is minutes. So 60 plus 20, 80 minutes, but they are paying, the rate paid is in hours, so we have to convert this our minutes also into hours. So that happens when you divide it by 60. So the total, okay, the total hours they have worked is equal to, okay, the total hours they have worked is 60 plus 20 divided by 60, 80 by 60 hours. Okay, into the rate of payment is 8.6 per hour. Okay, so that is equal to 80 by 60 times 8.6. So that is equal to, so that is equal to 11.466. Okay, so that is equal to 11.466 is the cost pounds. Okay, so this you will write it this much. Okay, so and for producing 180 tents, okay, now this is 180 tents, so I'm going to include 180 times this value. Okay, this 11.466 pounds, which was used for producing one tent. Okay, so into 180, so that is equal to 2064. So that is equal to 2064 pounds. Okay, so the total cost of production, okay, the production cost is this much. This is what we have to calculate. Then we have part B, calculate for the production of 180 tents for December week 3 the actual labor cost of production. So for this they have given the information and then they have asked these questions. So let's see what is the information they have given. The staff production sheet for December week 3 shows the following details. Amos Kairuki was absent for 1 day. Okay, this Amos Kairuki was absent for 1 day, and the rest of the people, they have put in work. Even he has put in work. Okay, he has worked for 32 hours, others working hours are given, then the number of units produced is also given. Now calculate for the production of 180 tents for the week, okay, for December week 3, the actual labor cost of production. So actual cost, okay, again the cost is always the quantity, okay, times the rate. Here how many hours they have worked. Here they're being paid, okay, in two parts. Okay, one is the normal rate, okay, that's called as a standard rate, the normal or the standard rate. Okay, so normal hours, how much they are worked, and what is the normal rate they are being paid. Okay, you can use the standard or the normal word. So they are working all 40 hours are paid at the normal rate, and the normal rate of payment, as we had seen, it is 8.6 per labor. Okay, whereas any overtime worked, okay, is paid at the rate of 12.90 per hour, and workers are not paid for absent time, so you will not include. Okay, if somebody is absent, that hour is not included. So let's calculate here the cost of payment for labor. So now let's calculate the labor hours worked into standard rate per hour. Now here we can see the first person has worked for 40. Okay, so everybody is going to be paid at 40. Okay, and these people have overworked, so at least 5 people, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, there are 5 people who have worked for 40, and they are going to be paid at the rate of 8.60 pounds. Okay, they are going to be paid at the rate of 60 pounds. Plus there is one worker who has worked only for 32. Okay, he has worked only for 32 hours, so he is also going to be paid. Okay, so that alone has to be separate because everybody else has worked at the basic normal rate. So into 8.6 pounds. Okay, so all the people who have worked, at least 5 people have worked for 40 hours. 1 2 3 4 5 who have worked for at least 40 hours. Okay, so I'm just multiplying it with 5 and multiplying with the rate, and this person who has worked for 32 hours is also paid at the standard normal rate. So plus, okay, this is standard normal rate. Okay, plus overtime hours worked will be paid different. So we can see how many overtime has happened. 1. Okay, here he has worked 40 plus 1 more hour, 44 hour. Here he has worked for 4 more hours. This fellow has worked for 7 more hours. So 1 plus 4 plus 7, the extra hours they have worked, and that they are going to be paid at a different rate, that they are going to be paid at the rate of 12.90 per hour. So you will put it and multiply it in the bracket. Okay, so the extra overtime working is also considered. Now let's calculate these values. So 40 times 5 times 8.6, so that is equal to 1720. Okay, 1720 plus we have 32 times 8.6, so that is equal to 275, 275.2. Okay, 275.2, and then we have this other things. Okay, so 1 plus 4 plus 7, and they are being paid at the rate of 12.9, so that is 154.8. Okay, so that is equal to, we have 1720 plus 275.2, so that is equal to 1995. Okay, dot 2 plus 154.8, so this is equal to 2000 2150. So that is equal to 2150 pounds. Okay. So this is the amount that was paid for the labor cost. Now the next part 2, okay, of the B question, labor efficiency variance. So the formula for the labor efficiency variance is what is the actual hours work minus the budgeted hours times the rate. Okay, the difference in the hours worked, because it's an efficiency, okay, it relates to efficiency variance that has happened between the actual you have calculated and the budgeted, and usually it is usually the hours worked into rate, but we are calculating the variance, so actual hours work minus the budgeted hours work into the budgeted rate. So using this formula, let's calculate. Okay, first one is the actual hours worked. So the actual hours they have worked is equal to, okay, let's add up all of these hours. Okay, so that is equal to 40 plus 40 plus 32 plus 41 plus 44 plus 47. So let's add up these values. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is equal to, that value is equal to 24444 hours. Okay, they have worked for totally 244 hours. Now let's see what is the budgeted hour we had estimated. Okay, we had allocated. So budgeted hours is calculated. Now we had calculated the budgeted cost based on the data they had given, right? So this was the budgeted cost for producing 180 tents. Okay, so we can see that for the budgeted cost is equal to 2064. Okay, the cost, so usually the cost is equal to hour times the rate. Okay, so now if I want to calculate the hour, I will divide the cost by rate. Okay, so here also for calculating the budgeted hours, okay, I am going to use the total budgeted cost that was had been estimated, okay, divided by the rate that was fixed. That the rate that was fixed was 8.60. Okay, so that is 8.60. Now we will understand what is the budgeted hours that had that was established or estimated. So that is equal to 240 hours. So as per the budgeted hours, it should have been 240, but the actual hours these people have worked is 244. Now let's find the and what is a budgeted rate. Budgeted rate also is an established one, okay, which we had they have given, it is 8.60 per hour. Now using this formula, I am going to calculate what is the efficiency, labor efficiency variance. So the labor efficiency variance is going to be equal to the actual hours, okay, which is equal to 244 they have worked, and the budgeted hours, which is 240, okay, 240 into the rate, budgeted rate, which is around 8.6. Okay, so let's calculate this. That is equal to 34.40. Okay, 34.40 pounds. So there is an efficiency variance, but it is but what we can see is the actual hours has got too much. Okay, they had to overwork, okay, than the budgeted hours. So this is a type of adverse variance. Okay, it is adverse variance. Okay, you have to indicate it in the bracket. Okay, then we have the labor rate variance. Okay, the labor rate variance is equal to the difference between the rates and the actual hours worked. Okay, so here what is it? We will take the actual hours worked and was there a difference in the actual and the budgeted rate. So then we will calculate how much of the variance has occurred between the estimated or the budgeted one and the actual one. So let's see, first one is the actual hours worked. Okay, we saw that actual hours worked we had to calculate. So actual hours worked, again it is equal to the actual cost divided by actual rate, right? So the actual hours worked. Okay, so that is the formula, general formula we have. So now the actual hours worked we know. Okay, that is equal to they work for 244 hours. Okay, now what is the actual rate? So actual hours worked was equal to 244 hours, okay, which we had calculated here. Okay, so that's the same exact actual hour they have worked. Now the actual rate we have to calculate from the actual cost that had happened. So actual cost that was incurred is equal to, we had calculated earlier, it was 2150. Okay, this was 2150. So let's include that. So 2150 divided by hours worked, actual hours worked 244, that is equal to, so that is equal to 8.81. Okay, 8.81 is the pounds. Okay, it is the actual rate that has incurred to the business. Now what was the budgeted rate? Okay, because we have to calculate the difference in actual and the budgeted rates. Okay, and find the variance. So the budgeted rate was around 8.60 pounds. Now let's calculate the labor rate variance. Okay, so which is the same formula as this one. Okay, I'm going to use. So now the actual hours worked, we know this is 244. Okay, times the actual rate that has happened is 8.81. Okay, minus the budgeted rate, it was 8.6. So the difference we have to calculate. So it is equal to 51.6 pounds. Okay, that is equal to 51.6 pounds. Okay, so now this is a type of adverse variance because the actual hours, okay, the actual rate has become more than the budgeted or the allocated estimated rate. Okay, so it has become more, so it is an adverse variance. Okay, which you have to indicate. Okay, whether it is adverse or favorable you have to indicate. So it is here, it is adverse variance. Then the total labor variance, total labor cost variance we have to calculate. So let's calculate this. Okay, that is the fourth part. So here the formula is actual labor cost minus the budgeted labor cost. So that is equal to, we know what is the actual labor cost. The actual labor cost that was incurred was 2150, and the budgeted cost, okay, which had incurred was 2064. Here this was the actual budgeted cost. Okay, so this was the budgeted cost, this was the actual cost. So what is the difference between these two? So actual cost that was incurred was 2150 and the budgeted labor cost had been 2064. So that is equal to 86 pounds. Okay, so 86 pounds. Now the actual has become more than the budgeted cost. So it is also adverse variance has happened. Okay, it has become more than the estimated value. It's a adverse variance. Okay, and then uh, part C. Okay, part C, for part C they have given one information and then they have asked the part C. So the standard material cost of producing, okay, 1 10 6 is 16 square meters of material at 38 pence per square meter. Okay, we have to calculate. Now what is the question is, calculate the budgeted material cost for the planned production of 180 tents for December week 3. Now the budgeted material cost for 1 tent we have to calculate and then for multiply it by 180 to get the for the 180 tents. Now the budgeted material cost, how much is the material consumed? Okay, the material consumed, they are saying they need at least 16 square meters, right? 16 square meters they need, and the rate is 0.38, so into 0.38, so that is equal to 16 square meters is a quantity that is needed into the rate 0.38, so that is equal to 6.08 pounds at least I need to spend, okay, to for the material. Now for 180, okay, let's calculate this budgeted cost, okay, budgeted material cost, because they had asked for 180 tents, what is the material cost. So for 180 tents will be equal to 180 times the single tent cost, which is equal to 6.08, which you had calculated. So that is equal to 1094.4 pounds. Okay, so that is the material cost for producing the budgeted material cost for producing 180 tents. Okay, next one is they have given some more information. Company records for the start of December week 3 showing the following: 1350 meters of material purchased at 0.36 pence per meter in the inventory at the start of week 3. Deliveries were received, okay, like on Tuesday and Thursday, and 920 meters of materials were in the inventory at the end of the week. And company uses the first in first out method of inventory valuation, wherein the first good received they will be used up first. That is the policy here. Now part D says calculate for the production of 180 tents for December week 3 the actual material cost of production that would have happened. Now we can see that, okay, actual material cost, okay, will be equal to the actual material consumed, how much of the material was consumed and what is the rate per unit. Okay, that's how you will usually calculate. So let's calculate that. So we know that, and they have given, okay, at what price was it purchased and stuff like that, the actual material cost that had happened. We can see that 1350 was purchased at 0.36 pence. Okay, the first one will be used up first. So let's calculate that 1350 of material was purchased at 0.36 pence. Okay, and then after that, okay, the second inventory that's being used up is 1400 at 0.38 pence. So 1400 meters into 0.38, okay, quantity consumed times the rate, plus then they are saying they bought 1200 at 0.39, but they have some leftover, which means they didn't consume the full. So 1200 minus 920 was the quantity consumed, and these were at the rate of 0.39. Okay, so 0.39. This was the third set of materials they consume. So and the rate, so that is the total cost, okay, that incurred for purchase and use of material, okay, actual. So let's calculate this value. So 1350 into 0.36, that is equal to 486 pounds, plus 1400 into 0.38, it is 532, okay, pounds, plus 280 into 0.39, that is equal to 109.2, okay. uh, 1200 minus 920, that is 280 times 0.39, so that is equal to 109.2. so let's add up all these values, that is equal to 1127.2, okay, pounds. So this was the actual cost of the material, okay, that happened for producing the tent. Then they want you to calculate now material usage variance, okay. Was there a usage variance that has happened and how much of it has happened, okay. Now what was the actual material usage, okay, the actual material quantity consumed and the quantity that was that should have been consumed, okay, that was estimated, that was budgeted earlier. So that is equal to, so that is equal to, now let's see the actual material usage, okay, actual material usage. So that is equal to quantity consumed, okay, that is equal to, we can see that they consume 1350 plus 1400 plus 1200 minus 920, so that is equal to, that is 1200 minus 920 is 280, so let's add up all this. So that is equal to 3030 was the quantity consumed, okay, this was a quantity consumed. Now budgeted material usage, okay, let's see the budgeted material usage. Now the budgeted material usage should have been equal to 16 times, okay, one tent was using 16 meters, so 16 into 180 meters, 180 tents, so 16 times 180, this must have been the budgeted quantity that was estimated to be consumed, it is 2880. Now let's calculate the usage variance and what is the budgeted price we had calculated. So budgeted price that was estimated was equal to 0.38. So that was estimated was 0.38 pounds. Okay. Now using this we have to calculate the material usage variance. So this is actual material usage is 3030, budgeted material usage is 2880 times the rate which is 0.38. So that is equal to, that is equal to 57 pounds. So 57 pounds was the material usage variance. Here also the amount quantity consumed has become more than the budgeted. Whenever it is more, it is adverse variance would have happened. Okay, you should say it as adverse variance. Then the next one is the material price variance. Was there a price variance? Okay, they want you to calculate. So let's see, material price variance is equal to what was the actual usage, actual quantity used, okay, actual quantity consumed, times what the difference in the budgeted material rate that has happened and the actual material rate that has happened minus the budgeted material rate. So we will see this. So first one is what is the actual usage. Okay, let's calculate the actual usage which we had done previously. The actual usage quantity was equal to 3030. Okay, the actual usage variance, okay, the actual usage was 3030, which we had calculated from the previous problem. Okay, So that is equal to 3030. And then let's calculate what is the actual material rate. Okay, actual material rate will be the cost divided by the actual usage. Okay, it is the actual usage, material consumed. Okay, quantity consumed. So we know that the actual material cost of production that has happened, which we had calculated, so that is equal to 1127.2. Okay, 1127.2. So let's write here 1127.2 divided by the actual usage was 3030. So that is equal to 1127.2 divided by 3030. So that is equal to 0.372. Okay, 0.372. Okay, pounds. Okay, that should have been the rate. But we can see our budgeted rate was 0.38. Okay, so the budgeted material rate which was estimated, okay, it was equal to, this rate, okay, which we had estimated that this should have been the rate. Okay, so now let's calculate what is the variance that has taken place. Okay, so material rate variance or the price variance, okay, rate variance is equal to the actual usage was 3030, actual material rate was 0.372, 0.372, and the budgeted material rate was 0.038, 0.38. Okay, so now that is equal to 24.24 pounds. Okay, so now 24.24 pounds. Now we can see that the actual rate has become less. Okay, it is less than my budgeted rate, so I'm going to call this as a favorable. I have estimated, okay, good enough, okay, and it has been within my budgeted limits. Okay, so this was a favorable price rate variance which I had been able to fix and use, okay, properly. Now the next one is the total material cost variance. So let's calculate what was the total material cost variance, that is equal to the actual material cost variance minus a budgeted material cost variance. So the first one is the total actual material cost variance we had calculated earlier. It is 1127.2. Okay, so let's write here 1127.2 plus the minus the budgeted material cost. Okay, the budgeted material cost we had calculated, that was 1094.4 pounds. Okay, so this was 1090.4, 1094.4 pounds. So that is equal to 32.8 pounds. So that is equal to 32.8 pounds. So now let's go for the next one. So calculate the production of 180 tents in December week 3, the total material and labor budgeted cost. So now we have to calculate the total of everything. Okay, so the formula is total budgeted cost is equal to total labor cost plus the total material cost. Okay, that is the budgeted cost. What was the budgeted cost that would have incurred? Now we can see that the total labor, budgeted labor, was calculated earlier to be equal to budgeted labor cost was, okay, which was the first part of the question here. So the budgeted labor cost was around 2064. Okay, this was a budgeted cost. So let's write here 2064. Okay, that was the labor cost that should have, that was estimated, plus the budgeted material cost. Okay, the budgeted material cost for 180 tents was calculated to be around, so the actual, so this is the one, 1094.4. Okay, 1094.1. Okay, so 1094.4. So you have to add up the total budgeted cost. Okay, the total budgeted cost. So this would have been around 3158.4 pounds. Okay, so that's the total cost that should have, that was estimated, which includes the labor cost and the material cost. Now the next one, total of labor and material actual cost. Okay, so now let's calculate this. Actual labor cost we had calculated earlier, so that is equal to, so that actual labor cost was equal to, in the first part we had calculated, so that was 2 that was equal to 2150. Okay, so that is equal to 2150. So it is equal to 2150, plus we can see that material cost. Okay, actual material cost that was incurred, material cost that was incurred was equal to the material usage variance. So here the material use actual material cost was 1127.2. Okay, 1127.2. So 1127.2. So that is equal to 3277.2. So that was the actual material, the total cost, actual total cost. Okay, which includes the labor cost and the material cost. Now let's calculate the variance between these two total costs. Okay, so the difference between these two first is equal to 3277. Okay, so 3277.2 minus 3158. Okay, point 4, 3158.4. So that is equal to 118.8. So this was a thing. Okay, that's right. This was the variance that had happened with the total cost, and we can see that the actual has exceeded the budgeted, so it is a sort of adverse. Okay, it has become more than the expected, budgeted. Okay, so we call it as adverse variance. Okay, so that is all about the variance calculation.